Dieter and Hutch, and we're talking about the National Football Conference West Division, the 49ers rivals in the West, which, Jake, hot take off the jump, might be the best division in football. Some good divisions, some shitty divisions. This one might be the cream of the crop when we're all said and done. And honestly, the Niners might decide that, given that I'm bullish on the three other teams in the division.
Yeah, the NFC North is going to have something to say about that, but this division can play. And I think I liked different pieces of what these teams have done in the draft, but I really did like a lot of what these teams did. Walter Nolan to the Cardinals.
Yep.
The Seahawks are just loading up on beef and have really just gone with Mike McDonald's whole thing. And the Rams every single year seem to take guys that we're obsessed with. So
I don't think that's a
I like where all
my
these
friend.
teams are at. So
let's just go through and give some quick takes and get everyone slightly abreast to what's happening in the NFC North. And we're just going to do it by the 49ers schedule. Week 1, they're at Seattle, and we've talked about this a bunch. We're going to bring it up again. What a gift the schedule makers gave the 49ers, not just in that they have arguably the easiest schedule in a decade in the NFL, but also they gave Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff and his veteran players who have all been preaching about coming in strong and setting a tone for the year and not easing into the campaign. Division game, arguably their arch rival. There's arguments to be made there, but Seattle still carries serious weight, if not the most weight. On the road, week 1, not only do you avoid bad Seattle weather, but you got to bring it from the opening snap of the campaign. And I look at Seattle and I see a team that is as much a wild card as maybe any in the NFL right now. Let me quickly, Jake, run through who's in and who's out. We're going to leave the draft picks out of it because we just can't say who's going to be valuable from there yet. You can get into them if you want. But in is Sam Darnold, in is Cooper Kupp, in is DeMarcus Lawrence, in is Eric Saubert. Not sure. One of those things is not like the other. Out, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, who is going to kill an immaculate grid when you are able to get Titans and Seahawks. DK Metcalf is now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Laken Tomlinson, who that's an addition by subtraction. We love Laken, but oh boy, last year was rough. He's with the Houston Texans. And Rayshon Jenkins, the one-year experiment is over. He's in Cleveland. Seattle, very different team. Very much in the ilk of a Mike McDonald, as you alluded to, and now Sam Darnold, the quarterback.
Yeah, I think with Seattle, it's going to be very interesting. They have some massive question marks at offensive line, especially to start the season. They're betting on Gray Zabel to like save them, right? Because you look at it and it's like Anthony Bradford is a bad player.
Yeah,
just objectively, like he is. They struggled there. And they just could not get healthy. And I still don't love their situation at tackle, right? Like Charles Cross is a really good player. Abe Lucas is like good when he's out there, but he's never out there.
No.
They got Josh Jones, but like I don't really know if they have a clear answer at tackle if Abe Lucas isn't healthy.
It is a rough situation on offensive line. It's to the question of, okay, you got Gray Zabel who can play at 5 different spots. You might need him to play all 5 spots this year.
But he's still a rookie when the 49ers, like a day one, has not played an NFL snap rookie when the Niners will see him.
Well, he might want to be on the interior because the Niners might be playing rookies on the interior, and it's Bryce Huff and Nick Bosa if he's at tackle. So not an ideal situation, as we've talked about with the Niners before. They have 11 rookies. It's not an ideal situation, but at least the Niners have all-pro, borderline Hall of Fame talent. And on, the Niners offensive line, people might malign it. That was a solid enough unit. They're healthy. Another year of Dominic Pooney. But now, okay, you also have one of the greatest offensive tackles of all time in Trent Williams for week 1. So a big difference there. I'm just fascinated to see what Mike McDonald's defense looks like this year, Jake, because this is kind of the make or break year. He's now gotten the year to figure out what worked, what didn't. They did a lot of stuff. How do I put this? They adapted a lot mid-season to my recollection. They worked on some things that maybe couldn't get out there until it was November and December. And now you look at some of the moves that they've made, especially in the draft. Nick Emanwari, if it's going to work anywhere, and I'm not an Emanwari fan, but if it's going to work anywhere, it's going to work there.
Agreed.
The Kyle Hamilton role, that is what he can do. He could be somebody that Niners fans are cursing for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm that high on Seattle this year. Out of
Okay.
these four teams, like they just have a lot of question marks. Like JSN, and Cooper Cup, it's great. I think Valdez Scantling makes sense
Right.
within that system.
Kind of
Ricky White,
moneyballing it.
you know, Torrey Horton. Yeah, they've got a lot of like kind of random pieces where it could work out. I like their defense though, like Boye Mafe, Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed,
Mhm.
Leonard Williams, the ghost of Jonathan Hankins. I still like Ernest Jones, and their
Yep.
secondary is pretty good. Like if that defense is humming, they've got some room for Sam Darnold to get a little squirrely and throw some games away,
Yep.
and still maybe sneak into the playoffs. But they've got a lot of question marks, and they might even have more than the Arizona Cardinals, who are a team that's still mostly theoretical.
Well, I want to get to the Cardinals in a moment, but I want to
Yeah,
hammer the big move. They effectively switched out Sam Darnold for Geno Smith, and that really feels like saying six or half a dozen. It just
100%.
I don't see the vision there. I can understand there's politics and there's a lot of different stuff. You're going to a Shanahan based or Kubiak based offense this year in earnest. So having a guy like Darnold who's coming from Kevin O'Connell's system where he was for a stretch an MVP candidate makes a lot of sense. Gino wasn't thrilled with what they were paying him and the respect he was getting. Okay. So I can understand why the move was made, but it doesn't feel like it's progression as much as it feels like just rearranging the chairs in the yard.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. It's like, but I think they got a draft pick from trading Geno,
Okay.
and they save a little bit of money. I think so. Like you basically say, all right, these are two quarterbacks in the exact same tier. We're gonna take the younger one,
Mm.
and if it doesn't work out, whatever. I
Yeah.
like. I kind of get it. I kind of
Okay.
get it.
Also, you have Cooper Cup replacing Tyler Lockett. Don't know if I like that. Uh, Cooper Cup, I think, still has the potential to be great. Obviously, his body is betraying him. There's something unsettling about the concept of Cooper Cup wearing a Seattle Seahawks uniform,
Yeah. Yeah.
and much like there is with Tyler Lockett wearing a
There's
different
a real
uniform.
washed potential there. There's a
Yeah,
real it's over.
and they feel dependent on him because they did get rid of DK, which I think a lot of Seahawks fans are like, hell yeah, way to go.
He's not actually a good wide receiver. He's fun. He's fun, but he's not actually good at playing the position of wide receiver. He throws tantrums constantly.
Right.
Tyler Lockett was the better wide receiver for like their entire time there, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah, you're not getting me to fight it. I agree. I think Tyler Lockett is fantastic. I'm sad that he's not going to be in the division anymore. I love watching Tyler Lockett play football. I'm not going to do that because he's on the Tennessee Titans now. Like I understand all this. I just feel like offensively they are now maybe a little bit too dependent on Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is fantastic and has a chance to be an
Yep.
absolute all pro caliber player, and Kenneth Walker, who has all the talent in the world, but I'm not sure can hold up and be
Always
that kind
gets
of
like a
guy.
weird like oblique or like lower like hip injury. It's tough, but
Yeah.
he's awesome when he's out there. But yeah, I'm
So
with
you
you.
have a questionable offensive line. You are now you're putting a lot on a broken down Cooper Cup. You're putting a lot on Sam Darnold, first year, new team, new offense, has to prove that he is actually worth the money for the first time, right? No chip on the shoulder anymore. You're putting a lot on Jackson Smith and Jigba, who did, as much as I think he's fantastic and will succeed, was insulated by having two
No
receivers
question.
that required significant defensive attention. I just feel like there is a very low floor with the Seahawks team, and if it hits, it's because of the defense, as you mentioned, and because the
Agreed.
offense is able to make all the parts work. Very
And
kind of proto Niners, early Niners here.
yeah, and let's be clear, they're going to be weird all year long. They're
Oh
going to be
yeah,
weird,
you can't get rid of that.
and I think there's a very, 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 very real chance Gino's kind of slinging it in Vegas, and
You get
people
that.
go, "See, we tried to tell you Gino was underrated, and no one
Yeah.
believed us." And then Sam Darnold's going. He's getting
Yeah.
sad in this. He's getting sad in a little bit of mist.
I am concerned for Sam Darnold. that he got away with it to a degree, and it came back and bit him in the ass late in the year when they didn't have a great offensive line in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and now he's going to a worse situation in a division that has at least 2 and perhaps 3 defenses that can really get after the quarterback.
So Cowboy going to the Pacific Northwest. We'll see.
Listen, make sure you get the mood light, that you make sure that seasonal depression staves off, because they do not see the sun up there in Renton. Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. September 21st, that's week 3, 125. It is the home opener for the 49ers, and this is as interesting a game as there might be on the early slate of the calendar. I think that Seahawks week 1 is incredible. Not terribly interested in week 2 against the Saints. All that can happen there is catastrophe. It might happen. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But like, all that can happen there is catastrophe. And then week 3, here's Arizona. And we're going to find out what Arizona's about this year. This is it. If we're willing to wait another year on Seattle to find out what they're about, and Mike McDonald, we believe in him. Jonathan Gannon, year 3. What do you have? What do you have for us? And I think with the moves that they've made in recent years and the moves they've made this offseason, this team has a chance to be the surprise squad in the NFL. And frankly, the thing that holds me back from saying that is their star quarterback, Jake.
Agreed. I'm with you. I'm looking at the rest of it, and it's like they've got a pretty deep wide receiving core, right? Where Marvin Harrison Jr., he's not. There's some problems with him, but he's a pretty good receiver going into year 2. We all love Greg Dortch. Everyone loves Greg Dortch.
Love Dortch on the porch.
Michael Wilson, Kyle Shanahan loves Michael Wilson. They've got some pieces there, right? At running back, like Connor just seems like he's going to go forever. Like
he beat cancer. You can't defeat him with defense.
And then they've just got a bunch of like solid RB2, 3 guys behind him. And then you got Trey McBride, who's just an absolute animal.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching Trey McBride play angry football day in and day out. And then I kind of like their line. I like that they picked up Hayden Connor out of Texas as a rookie. He's a neck roll king. Like, I think they've got a good O-line there. I think their offense could be good. The problem is that, like, Kyler sometimes forgets that, like, playing quarterback means playing quarterback, and sort of and when he's good, when it's going well, he looks like a top 10 guy.
He's unbelievable.
And then inevitably the wheels fall off, usually in the second half of the year.
He doesn't want to get hit. It's as simple as that. And the wheels start falling off because he starts getting hits, and then he becomes even more timid on the field. Kyler is at his best when he is the best athlete and he is swashbuckling, right? He's arguably the greatest Texas high school quarterback of all time. He won the Heisman Trophy. He is an unbelievable player. But he had been, up until the point he got into the NFL, the best athlete on the field. And you couldn't touch him. And you weren't really hitting him. You were just sort of bringing – he played in the Big 12. No one hit anybody in the Big 12. You're playing Texas high school football. Yeah, that's a big deal. This dude's going in the top 10 in both baseball and football. Yeah, he might be a pretty good athlete. You get to the NFL level, these men have millions of dollars in the banks because they have murder in their eyes, and they are elite level athletes, and they can put you in the hospital with one hit. Kyler Murray knows it, even if he can play through it early in the season. Once he gets some hits on him, then he goes into a shell, and Kyler Murray in a shell is something that you don't want. I'm concerned about. They bring in Jacoby Brissett. That doesn't solve that problem for me. There's really no way they're going to live in this twilight zone of trusting Kyler Murray for a long time. If there was ever a year to have the breakout, this has to be the one, because I think Arizona's got a chance to have a breakout. They only really lose Dennis Gardeck, who I think is an awesome player. Dennis Gardeck was great, but they bring in Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Akeem Davis-Gaither. They brought in some defensive dudes.
Will Johnson was their draft pick. I wasn't the highest on him, but he should be a pretty good corner.
They've drafted as well as any team in the NFL the last 3 years. The Cardinals.
I mean, they have the pieces. It's on Kyler's little shoulders.
I'm fascinated to see how that works. Now, I will note the 49ers get the Cardinals, yes, in week 3, but also in week 11. At week 11, has Kyler already started playing outside himself, or is he
week
still
3 feels more dangerous.
Week 3 is extremely – first off, Kyler Murray coming to Levi's Stadium, that's dangerous in and of itself. We just know how that one goes. We saw it last year. And when Kyler runs, I don't know how you stop that offense. When Kyler stops running, I know how you stop that offense. So
yep.
A lot of things to keep an eye on there, but I love Arizona's talent. I think they have a chance. Gannon is an unbelievable defensive coordinator. He has his teams playing hard. He just can't get his quarterback to get over the physical limitations, and I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. And then we go to the Rams. Week 5, Thursday Night Football. That's October 2nd. 49ers are going to play the Rams in LA. I don't know what to make of the Rams, Jake, because they lose Cooper Kupp, they lose Jonah Jackson, they lose Christian Roseboom.
And I think, was it a Lyric Jackson or someone tore something?
That sounds right, yes. Or there was a blood clot situation. They're having some issues on the offensive line. They bring in Devontae Adams and Poona Ford. The Poona Ford one, I think, is super sneaky. We've talked about Poona Ford a lot. We're big Poona Ford fans. Poona Ford might help them solidify a rush defense that was legitimately bad last year. And if they can be average in run defense, because Poona Ford's out there with his little Super Mario mushroom self, if he can do that, if he can just get them up to just adequate, that defense has a chance to be really special with some of the talent that they have on it.
It's a weird defense. It's a weird defense. I love their front.
You should.
Behind it, there's they've got a weird linebacker core that they always have, where they sort of just figure it out with a bunch of guys who aren't quite the guy.
Right.
Their safeties are kind of like that too. I don't love their corner group, but it is they coach so well and they are so multiple in what they do on the back end that it's sort of if you're smart enough, you'll be able to play for them.
Chris Shula is as good a coordinator as exists in the NFL. What he's able to do with young players is really impressive, and what he's able to do schematically is no team has the 49ers more flummoxed than the Rams. And they play each other as frequently as any two teams in the league. That speaks to a level of Kyle Shanahan doesn't really know what to do with Chris Shula. It's not to say that Kyle doesn't have the upper hand or anything like that. It's just to say that Chris Shula continuously throws out problems that Kyle Shanahan now has to solve on the fly, and we know that's not Kyle's strong suit. Kyle needs a week to think things through. He is not a seat of his he is not somebody who wants to be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Let's put it that way.
It's interesting that the Niners had the Rams number except for that crucial game that allowed the Rams to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think the Niners won 9 out of 10, and then the Rams won the last 3.
Yeah. We got to come back to then the offense, though. Okay.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, that's a really good backfield. Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Terrence Ferguson now, really interesting tight end group. They're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. Havenstein, Dotson, Shelton, Avila, I don't know what's going on.
There's enough guys there to make something happen on the offensive line.
DJ Humphries might be your starter there. The former 49er legend, DJ Humphries. And then you get into just a very interesting group at wide receiver. You're not going to have Cooper Kupp. So now it's going to be more Puka Nacua. Not a bad thing. A lot more Tutu Atwell. I don't think that's a bad thing either. I don't know what Devontae Adams is anymore, but we're about to find out. How about a name? I'm going to give you a name here. Jordan Whittington, I think, has a chance to have a breakout season. I'm really interested in what the Rams do with Jordan Whittington, because he could just be a special teamer. He's out of Texas, really good player. He could just be that kind of guy. But I've liked him when they've played him at wide receiver, and that kind of depth, it's all going to come down to if Matt Stafford can stay healthy. But man, if that offensive line is as good as you think it is, there's something here.
They would scare me more than I think any other team in the NFC West. I think in terms of teams, if I'm looking at it from the Niners perspective and I go, who worries me the most? It's Rams 1.
Okay.
I think it's Cardinals 2, but I also don't fear Kyler that much, and then it's Seahawks 3.
I think I have to agree with you, but there's just not my inclination is to take, do the hotter take. My inclination is to see the high end, and I think the high end of Arizona is as good as anybody in the NFCs right now, save for the Eagles. And I think that Seattle has a chance to just be the worst sons of bitches to play. Just so fucking annoying to play.
They could allow 15 points again.
Yeah, the number I had is 17, so let's call it 16, and we'll say it's even. The Rams, have the legitimate potential on offense to have the absolute bottom fall out, like awful offense, because their backups are Garoppolo and Stetson Bennett. And it is a it's quarterback dependent offense. It still is. They don't have Kyron Williams is a great player. They don't trust him as much as maybe fantasy managers do. Like there's something that has just a slight fish smell about their offense, and their defense might, as you mentioned, I think their defense has a chance to be really special because of that front four. But that secondary, good safeties, sure, but Akella Witherspoon is still a starter. I don't know how serious we can take a team with Akella Witherspoon as a starter, and then you know what's going on with the linebackers, with Nate Landman and Omar Spates. Like the Rams, I think the Rams floor needs to be more considered, just as Arizona and Seattle ceilings need to be more considered by national media. And I'm not going to lie to you, I think every single team in this division can finish 9-8. 8-9, and we get down to some weird tiebreakers at the end of the year.
I hope it does. I hope it does get
That'd be
weird.
Fun. That'd be fun. It's a hell of a division, and I think that the 3 games off the bat, week 1, week 3, and then week 5 are just so critical to defining what the 49ers are going to be. Just to round it out here, Niners are going to play Seattle week 1, week 18. There's some bookends for you. If you didn't like them now, you'll like them later. Arizona week 3 and week 11, as aforementioned. Week 3 is at home. And then the Rams, you're going to have the Rams off the schedule by November 9th. Week 5, Thursday Night Football. Luckily, the Niners they'll be playing Thursday. I mean, so will the Rams. But that's a home game against the Jaguars on September 28th. Then they'll play October 2nd on Thursday night in L.A. Obviously not a big commute to L.A. In fact, it might get easy. It might be easier to get to L.A. for me than it is to get to Santa Clara sometimes from Alameda. And then week 10, they'll play the Rams again in an afternoon game on Fox. You mentioned the teams that you think should be considered most dangerous, the teams that you're most worried about. How do you think it actually shakes out? If you had to put the NFC West in order at the end of the year, we're done with Week 18, 49ers in Seattle. What is the order of the NFC West this season?
I want to put the Cardinals higher, but I really don't believe in Kyler Murray fundamentally.
Yeah.
And I'm a principled man, and I got to stick to my principles. And I'm going to go with the most milquetoast one, which is Niners 1, Rams 2, Seahawks 3, Cardinals 4. That's where I'm going to go.
I'm going to just flip the division from last year. I'll go Niners 1, Cardinals 2, Seahawks 3, Rams 4th. And I don't think there will be but 2 games separating them when it's all said and done. I think that this division is going to come right down to the wire. And frankly, it's going to prove to be hella annoying that there will be no division games after November 16th. Like
I know. I don't like how they structure the schedule. But
the Seattle game is last. So scratch all that. But it will be as these teams battle for who will win the division. The 49ers will get the Panthers, the Browns, the Titans, the Colts, and the Bears before they play Seattle.
It's tough. It's tough when you round into what form you're actually supposed to be, and then the games that matter are gone. So,
well, another reason to maybe not fully believe what the Niners' final form is, because again, I'll read them off. You play Arizona week 11, you get Carolina, the Browns, bye week, Tennessee, Colts. Oh, the Colts are going to be a tire fire. Bears, who knows? And then Seattle in week 18, which probably will matter, but might not. I'm just super excited for this division and all of the ups and downs it's going to provide, and we're getting right into it in a couple of days. Jake, good stuff as always, my man.
Appreciate you. Folks, subscribe, become an official sicko.
Yep.
And subscribe to the Hutch Report. It is free. All links in the description as always, and enjoy your summers.
Stay sick.